Welcome, everybody, to the Ask Me Anything show by JVology. I am your host, Krista Inakovsky, and it is my big honor and pleasure to be here and hang out for the next 40 minutes or so with my friend James Lamb. We are going to have a great time talking all things marketing and who knows, business strategy.
I don't have 40 minutes of content. You have to stop.
We're just going to chat. And hopefully we've got some people asking some questions. That makes it even more fun. So let me introduce everyone to the show. Ask Me Anything is part of our JVology brand. I do the show once a week, bringing in amazing JVology members, usually our mastery members, such as James. They're experts in their own right, and that way you get a chance to learn about their business, tips, what it took to get here, the path that they're on, and just to kind of pick their brain, or James' brain, on what to do maybe in marketing or something that's going to help propel your business forward. So before I jump in and start asking James some great fun questions, just to let you know, James and I each have been sharing this video on Facebook. So if you happen to see it shared, I ask you to go to the little above the video. It says Jay Facette. He is the Grandmaster Leader of JVology. If you click on that, it'll take you to the original post, and there you can comment. When you comment in the original post, I will be able to see it, bring those comments on camera, and that way James and I can both respond to you. So looking forward to that. I see we've got people watching, so jump over to that main page by clicking Jay's name. That way you can comment along. And to make this an official start to the show, I will run the following.
Ooh.
All right, the wink wink has been done. That means it's time to rock and roll. So how you doing, James?
I'm good. You need to make the intro longer so I can stretch for longer. I'm like, okay, I can relax for 2 seconds, and then it ends, and then the stress comes back on.
Jay says that every time when he's doing his show. Yeah, it's cute though, isn't it?
It is. It is really cute. If I'm fortunate enough to be as big as Jay one day and have the show, I'm going to make that sucker like 45 seconds long.
It's fun to see, like, you understand the logo better when you can see that they've taken the O's from the ology and then the smile, and there's a little face in the middle. You're like, oh, now I get it.
But so everybody on the show knows I'm actually going to start another company. It's called JVology. JVology, and there you go. I'll just extend it 4 letters, and then you're done, right?
You're done. Yeah, it's kind of funny. People do get they think that Jay Facette is the founder of JVology, but the J is not J. It's J for joint venture. So the company is about joint ventures, the mixology, the blending of people, fun, and profits in joint ventures. The fact that the name is Jay is a pure coincidence, but I like your JVology.
Don't worry, we'll make it less colorful. We'll just make it monochrome. It'll be the monochrome version, the black and white version of JVology.
Fun. So you are joining us from Calgary, correct? Or the greater vicinity?
Yes, I am. And I'd like to point out there might be a mild chance that Calgary is actually going to be warmer than Florida tomorrow. We get 25 Celsius tomorrow. I don't know if you get that, like this to us is a big deal. Lots of people in Calgary who this is like anytime it's above 22, it's like, my gosh, when it's above 12, let me put it this way, Chris, the people are out in shorts and they're out in like t-shirts. 25 is like a heat wave.
Yeah. And it seems like you've had a lot of cold weather and snow, like for a longer period of time than I realized. I'm a Floridian.
Yes.
So I know it's kind of fun to rub it in to all my Calgarian friends.
It's not so much fun when you're answering.
It's so bright in my window right now. I can't even take it.
That's true. I'm sure it's less fun when you're because you're what, director of customer care, and so it'll be like 11 or 12 a night, which is like 2 or 3 your time, and you're still getting messages coming in, right? Like, I can't access this, or I need to know about this, or Krista, where are you?
Sometimes I have to just tell myself, don't respond, reply in the morning. It's okay that they said, we'll reply in the morning.
Yeah.
But my big hope is as soon as the borders open that I'm going to come on up and join everybody in Calgary for some of the summer.
It would be a party up here, right?
Yeah, I know. It's going to be good times. Well, I want to hear more about what you have going on. And I have to say, I love that Look Ahead Marketing is LAM, the initials of your last name. I mean, that was brilliant. How did that? I like to get in the brain of the marketing side because I have fun with that too. Was it intentional, looking for a name from the letters, or how did that come to be?
You know what? It's really interesting. So you asked a bunch of questions there, but how do I say it? You know how everybody has their name in front, like it's Sheila George. There isn't actually a person named Sheila George, but if there was, and she was a marketer,
somewhere,
Sheila George, you know what I mean? And that would be the name of the brand. And I sat there with my wife, and we talked about it for about 5 or 6 days, and we're humming and hawing. And so LAM, as in Look Ahead Marketing, the acronym is sort of a compromise on that, right? Mm-hmm. So it still has my name on it, but it's not just me. And that way I can step back a little bit, because there's 2 things here. So one of them is, and I love this book. It's like the only book I've read, but there's Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. I think I quoted that book 7 times in the last 4 days, right? Oh, good to see you, Cher. But they always talk about solving other people's problems and putting yourself in their shoes. That's basically the premise of the book. And if I'm kind of like James Lamb, master marketer, all these amazing things happen to me, so you should follow me, it doesn't really work that well. So Lamb was a little bit of a compromise.
I like it because it describes what you do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a name for the sake of being a name, but I instantly Look Ahead Marketing. Well, marketing's in there. It's forward thinking. So anyway, I love that aspect of it.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it.
So I want to know, I do know that this is it was a new shift for you. So you pivoted, and this is one thing I absolutely love about entrepreneurship is it gives us the opportunity to really do the pieces that we like and that we like to do best. Mm-hmm. And we don't always, what are the chances of nailing it right off the gate? Not very seldom. No. So you might get in the industry that you like, but you're maybe not doing the part of it that you like, or life changes. So you were doing a little bit more agency work, and now you're like, I really now want to kind of shift how I show up and how I share my genius. So tell me a little bit about what that looked like for you.
Right. So the last time we actually physically saw each other, Krista, was back in February, and the world was very different back in February, right?
It was
extremely different. So back then I had
San Diego, the life was good, having a ball with real people and real life.
I actually had to wear decent pants instead of track pants at these things, but now I can just wear track pants. Anyways. So yeah, it's an interesting question. Back then, I had a boutique agency, and the boutique agency had how do I say this? Essentially, I was over it. I don't know how to say it otherwise, but that's basically it. It was my partner and I was kind of over it. And I went to this joint venture thing, and I spoke to a number of people, yourself included, and we talked a lot, and we said, it was kind of like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. It just did not work with this. And then I had never really given webinars or these online people a chance. I always thought, you wouldn't make very much. And then I spoke to these people, and these people are making just mad money and having fun with it. And it was incredible. So that's sort of where the idea got started. And I kind of ran through a number of ideas, but what I like doing is I really enjoyed the part about supporting people in business and helping them through business. Because let's face it, when you lose money, it sucks. When you get frustrated, it sucks. And entrepreneurs always work.
Part of entrepreneurship, the losing money part.
You know, those of you who have watched my webinar before, in 2015, you know, we lost, and I shouldn't say this too loudly because my mother might be on the line, but we lost $50,000. And it's because we ended up putting the fate of our business into someone else's hands. And I worked my ass off. It wasn't from a lack of work. It wasn't from the sacrifice. It was just bad marketing at the end of the day. So I said, never again are we putting the fate of our business into another person's hands, and learn how to do it. And that's what I'm trying to do for people now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's a great, there's always something to learn all along the way. And so I do remember, because we were sitting together and doing a coaching session in San Diego, and you were primarily, I was asking about your marketing and where you get your people, and it was face-to-face. You're like, I work, people in Calgary know me. I go to networking events. You're obviously super well liked. I see that everywhere, and so you have that. And now to jump online, you're like, oh my gosh, that means I get to work with people who've never seen me, never met me. How do I really make an impact and connect with people so that can help them do what they need and what you're good at, without being a brick and mortar, without being a neighbor, without being, right there in the same town? So what has that shift been for you? Like,
it's a great question. So there's a funny, I think it's hilarious. Okay. I don't know actually how funny this is, but I find it hilarious. So in my past life, I set up Facebook campaigns that everybody knows, and I am getting just mad traction on this. Like, I am buying a webinar invite with their email for about $1 a webinar invite, which is crazy good. But for some reason, and I'm not joking, it is only in South Africa. I cannot seem to break up via. I'm getting hundreds and hundreds of people just in South Africa, and that's it. So it's very weird. Anyways, to answer your first question, this is a tough question. So I ran my first webinar 2 days ago, and it went well. I got 2 sales, which was amazing. Now the interesting thing is, one of them already knew me, so I'm absolutely blessed that they know me, and I'm thrilled that they trust me to help them out with their marketing. Okay. The challenge, I think, is that because other people know me, and you pointed this out, it's a much higher wall to scale, and quite rightly so. So it's an interesting thing, but we're building systems, like we're building, and by the way, for you folks who are ever who are starting out entrepreneurs, and you find out that you yourself, you're having trouble getting your message through, or why aren't people buying it? Look, we all go through the same thing. I've been in business for so many years, and I've done marketing for so many years. And even still, I am still struggling to get clients because it's a new one right now, but you get better at it over time. Anyways, with that being said, we're building systems. So one of the things, and you know this, Krista, already, I have a podcast coming up, and I'm kind of hoping it's like an accelerator, right? It's kind of like that catapult system that pushes you into the future. So it's called Three Steps to Thrive. And it brings on successful entrepreneurs and talks about 3 things that smaller people can do, which are practical, actionable, and simple. And Michelle, you're absolutely right. I didn't think I would have a market in South Africa, but if I go, I'm bringing everybody with me, right? Who knew?
And I have to do a little shout out, because we actually have a new JVology client from South Africa.
Oh, there you go.
Ashraf, and he's awesome.
Yes, Ashraf. I have all these people in your back door.
The challenge. Right? You kind of wonder, not to sidetrack off of where you're headed, but just to say hello to Michelle and her comment. If Facebook is going, oh, I'll make this cheap, and off you go. Like, not to get too into Facebook ads, but were you geo-targeting, or were you just? I know we've had that incidence before where JVology is being marketed to US Canada, because that's where the majority of our clients are. All of a sudden, we got this huge influx of a South American country, Spanish speaking, and our mini chat is blowing up in Spanish, and none of us speak Spanish. Like, this is completely, Facebook went awry and wasn't listening to what it was set.
Yes.
Michelle wants to have an audience in France.
I know we should. You know what, Michelle? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to twin this audience, duplicate it until we get France down. Okay. So we're going to have people from all over. I'm going to be spending $500 a day, but that's okay because we can go to France, right? Which would be amazing.
Somewhere there'll be a trip to write off, and it'll all be worth it.
Okay, so to get back to your question, so you asked about targeting. Basically, you said, did you kind of do this intentionally or was this a fluke? This was a massive fluke, and it's one. I've been doing Facebook advertising for 15 years. I still don't understand the ins and outs of Facebook. Like,
changing all the time from what I hear.
It's silly, right? So I targeted the Commonwealth countries, the English-speaking Commonwealth countries: Australia, New Zealand, Canada. US technically isn't a Commonwealth, but that's okay. The UK and South Africa, and South Africa apparently is the winner. So,
that's true. It's still an English-speaking country.
Yes.
That probably has perhaps the least attention or competition.
Yeah.
Okay.
So don't spread the word, but JVology is going to start in South Africa, 100%. And Michelle and Krista, I'm poaching you, so don't tell Jay either. I'm just going to we're all going to move to Cape Town or Joburg, and that'll be it.
Which are beautiful places. I've been. The only downside is you're going to be coaching at 3 a.m. Good. All right. So I know we got a little bit derailed, but I want to come back to, you were talking about the process that you do that has the actionable.
Right. So you're talking about the podcast, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So the podcast, and folks, I know some of you applied on the show when I very terribly ignored you. I'm sorry. It wasn't all of you. It's just because I actually got overwhelmed with podcasts asked, which is amazing. Everybody here has a really good message to share, which is amazing. Okay. So if you haven't submitted it, make sure you submit it. I promise everybody who submitted, I will get back to them. But this is the neat thing, right? And I think we spoke about this a little bit before, but one of the challenges that I personally have is I'm not a great reader. When you talk to everybody and they talk about how they learn things, they say, I read 100, 200 books a year, whatever the number is. I kind of hate reading once in a while. Like, I'll do it once in a while, but I'm kind of doing it and kind of be like, God, this better pay off, or else, God,
get to the point. I'm kind of always reading, get to the point.
Yeah, exactly. Right. This one is neat because I like this idea because everybody resonates with a different message and a different personality. And what this is bringing in all sorts of people, some of them more seasoned than others, and that's okay. But the premise of the show is that every single person needs to leave 3 tips to either improve the business or the business owner. So it's more obvious sometimes. Sometimes an accountant will say, maintain your cash flow, maintain your quick ratio. I don't even know if those things that I just said make sense, but they sound good. The mindset coach will say something like, make sure you're mindful for the last hour of the day. There are tips to do it. And someone in between could be like, look, I don't have tips, but these are the things that I learned. I learned that persistence means this, and include taking care of your family. I learned that, this is how I habitually set habits and to do. So it's really interesting. And if people ask me, they say, what should I talk about for the 3 steps? I actually intentionally leave it ambiguous because I think you're going to get better results that way. So I've done 1 recording so far, and then I have a whole bunch of them next week, including this. Do you know Michelle Needy Laugh? Apparently she wants to go shark scuba diving.
That's what you do in South Africa.
That's right.
That was awesome. She's on our JVology team and a great friend, and also releasing a podcast. So I know you two are having a good time preparing for that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right. So first of all, I want to drop the name of your podcast down here somewhere. I'll just put it in the comments so we have it. Is it Look Ahead Marketing Podcast?
It's actually 3 Steps to Thrive.
3 Steps to Thrive podcast.
And a little secret, by the way. If you were to go ahead and rate and review the show before, you'll probably get a call earlier than later. So if you can go in and
you're wanting to be a guest on James' show, listen to what's there. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. So it's, when and Krista, you know this, I picked up that from Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner, right? And those two guys, if and I have to give them a shout out because I don't think, Michelle, you or I would be here having this pleasant conversation about podcasts if those two guys hadn't been there, right? And so those two guys, they spent an hour, probably more, a week, and they kind of led you through by the hand. It wasn't a ton of work, but it was really efficient the way they did it. And so everybody got to launch a podcast. So I know they're probably going to do it again. Team or whoever's listening, if you're interested in doing a podcast, please join them. They are amazing gentlemen, and
Turnkey Podcast is their name, and their company, Strickland Bonner and Doug.
Yes.
I want to say Doug Strickland, but that's putting their first names together. And that's one of the things I love about our JVology community, and especially our mastery members. That's our high level for the movers and shakers, is everyone shows up so committed to their expertise and so committed to what they teach others that they love sharing it with one another. And so boom, everyone's able to just continue. The growth becomes exponential during the time that you're in the program. And for Doug and Strickland from Turnkey to bring all of this knowledge in podcast, and now Michelle's getting her message out stronger and faster, and so is Brad, and so are you, James. So, and just seeing how that's happening, and now with your expertise in branding and our marketing, you're able to help elevate us as well in the group. So
yeah, it's certainly an opportunity, and for entrepreneurs who are on the fence, it's an opportunity to network up. And I don't know how to say it any other way than that. I think if I were to aggregate the first few guests I have on the show for the podcast that have confirmed, I'm probably looking at around about 250,000 hits, right? Which is amazing.
That's impressive. That's really impressive. Business Ownership Podcast. Is that the name of your podcast, Michelle? I was going to say it, and I realized I didn't know it. I need to go get familiar with the name of everybody in our group, the podcast that they're launching. Here's the cool thing: is there's such a variety. Brad's got one, I believe, on craft beer, and Cherise is doing one on Star Trek fandom. So it doesn't even have to be specifically in your business niche, which has been pretty fun.
No, it's super. It's a great way to be, right? And it's a great group of people. So yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited. I'm actually more excited for my podcast than I am my business. But don't tell anybody I said that.
Well, here's the cool thing: is it gives a great platform to talk about what you do with other people. Yeah. Kind of like this. It's a format of having conversation, and people are able to kind of gather the gems of what you do through story, through conversation. I love the question that Michelle's just posed. Is there a difference between marketing the podcast versus marketing other products that you've done before?
That, Michelle, is an excellent question. I don't actually know because I haven't. Wasn't it? Well, that's a little answer. I think the part of the reason why I wanted to do these interviews, the 3 Steps to Thrive, was two things. First of all, I didn't want to have to come up with content every week. I find coming up with content every week very difficult. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is that when I talk to somebody who has, let's say, even 100 people, and it's okay, I don't mind. I think once a month I'm going to have something called new and novel, and that's going to be someone who is just starting their business, right? And so if they have 100 people, they are definitely going to promote that as much as they can. And maybe of those 100 people, 5 will stick around. And then, but you get the 25,000, and then from that, maybe 100 stick around. And so I think that would be the way that you would build your podcast. Again, I'm just speaking off the cuff. I don't actually know. I don't have any experience doing that, but that's how I envision it anyways.
Well, I'm looking at a combination of, does the guest have an audience or a following, and is the guest interesting? Are they going to bring cool content? Are we going to have fun conversation? Because that's equally important to keep your followers entertained and like, oh, cool.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? And it's a really neat chance to sit down and not just network up, but have a conversation with somebody, right? Like if you think about the person who's your mentor, right? Just picture them for a minute and imagine, for example, like one of my mentors, they don't know I exist, but I imagine that going and having a conversation with them, finding them in a busy room, having a conversation is extremely difficult and extremely nerve-wracking. Right. And so you probably leave your mentor thinking, God, who was that? I'm so glad to go home. Right. As opposed to this time that both of you have carved out, you're able to get to know the other person well enough, and you can demonstrate your expertise. And that is a gift through the podcast that not many people can give right now. And I don't entirely know this. I suspect that in the next 5 or 6 years, podcasting is going to be almost the equivalent of being an author. And again, I don't quote me on this one, but I wouldn't be surprised because so many people are coming out with books that are self-published that really don't mean anything anymore, right? At one point in time, having a book was like a license to be able to go public speak. Nowadays, I don't know if it is. I think a podcast is actually easier and cheaper and far simpler and more interesting to do. But that's only my thing. And the other thing is, think about it this way. If you write a book, you are stuck in that one thing. You cannot pivot from there, right? So if your book was about, the best design for washboards, not washboard abs, clarification, just washboards. Remember the old 1800s? You're screwed now. You're in trouble. What are you gonna talk about? Then they're gonna invite you on all sorts of funny guest speakers, like businesses that shouldn't be around today, right? Or should have died 50 years ago.
Cool. So let's talk about your webinar. Like, what is going on? What is it that I know you're excited for your podcast, but I want to get to the heart of what you're offering right now and what impact that, I know because you and I get to talk about it. That's part of the joy of getting to work with you. So share with our audience how you're breaking down these 3 main pieces of the direction that
Okay, so there is a product. So the premise of this product, keep this in mind, folks, is you are never putting the fate of your business in someone else's hands again. Okay, I don't know if any of you have done this before, but it sucks. There's no other way to say it. And so this podcast is a little bit of knowledge that goes a long way. So it's all about marketing.
Webinar?
Or sorry, both of them actually. So the webinar is it's a free webinar that I'm doing, and it's entitled "Everything You Want to Know About Facebook, Facebook ads, but we're too afraid to ask." And so we really break it down and make it super, super simple. Just like they're practical, actionable, and simple. Again, it's something anybody can show up. So a lot of our people who show up, they've never used Facebook ads before, and that's okay. Because we're kind of like, you know what? It's really simple, but if you were to start, you could start with $1 a day. It does not take any more than $1 a day, and just try it out. Here are steps to give you some mad results. Okay. And this is one of the challenges, right? Is that when you start something, people are insecure. Sometimes they're lost. Sometimes they're worried no one's going to buy. Sometimes you feel like a fraud, right? You have that imposter syndrome. And I'm here to kind of be like, I understand where you're coming from. These are ways you can help. These are ways you can help avoid that.
That's great. I was going to do a quick, for people who are watching us live right now, if you followed one of our shared posts, go to the original post itself, click Jay Facette's name right above the video. And when you click there, it'll open up this broadcast live. And when you comment, then we'll be able to see your comments. So make that little quick adjustment, and we'd love to hear from you. Comment, ask questions, and that'll be great. So just wanted to catch the new people who have jumped in. You share with us the so you talk about those leads, and then there's like this repeat.
Right.
Let's talk about those three pieces.
Sure. The main, how do I put this? So the webinar is like the front door, right? The webinar is a free webinar. It's an hour long. It's what I just talked about. It's the front door into the sales funnel, which is for hot digital marketing leads in 30 days. So it's divided into three components because this is all sales, our team. It's just leads times conversions, right? How many leads you're getting? What's your conversion ratio? And then how to resell them. So in digital, hot digital leads within the first 30 days, I talk about things like Google My Business, Google Display Network, Google Ads, Facebook ads, all sorts of Facebook ads, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, like it's all there. But the beauty of it is that the design is not so that you have to learn everything. It's not like a university course. In many ways, I work with you in the beginning, and this is one of the things I'm including for the first round. I'm actually doing a masterclass with everybody. So it's designed to be a digital product. This first round, I'm taking the first 30 people who register. And what we're going to do, team, is I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to look at all the creative. I'm going to look at all the strategy with you. And we are going to do this together. So there's massive value there. Anyways.
So we're going to get your eyeballs on it as well, on their stuff. This is what I've made, and you can make adjustments or offer advice. That's so valuable.
Right. And it's almost like instead of having to learn to do Facebook ads from scratch, you get someone saying, do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. And how valuable is that in business, right? It's almost like you have this, you're going into exam, you have a textbook of information, right? But all you need is 2 sheets, double-sided. And that's what I give you essentially. And I take you through and show you how to do the exam, so to speak.
That's great. I'm just going to throw that up there. Your entry point is to help people easily learn Facebook ads, take the intimidation out of it, give them some guidance on that. But I will kind of back up. Like if you're going to do on Facebook ads, that is part of your marketing. But you need to be pretty clear on these other components of your message and who you're reaching. Is that part of when people work with you? Do you make sure that they're on track with those pieces?
Yes, and there's actually a bonus that I was going to talk to you about afterwards, but maybe we'll chat about it now. I haven't figured out if this is a terrible idea or a great idea. Look, I have spoken to so many people, and their message is not clear. And when your message is not clear, it gets lost in the haze of ads and lost in squirrel. Right. And so what I'd like to offer the JVology group or whoever is interested is I'm going to take you through, I haven't figured it out yet, a 2 to 3 week masterclass on getting your message straight. That's what it's going to be. 2 to 3 weeks, no charge. Okay. We're going to sit together. We're going to spend an hour. You have homework to do. And then we are going to make sure your message is on point. And then when you get your message on point, you can advertise, speak directly to the avatar. You can put it out there to the world. It becomes so much cleaner because, folks, you're not talking about the widget. You're talking about how the widget fits into somebody's life. And that's a big difference.
It really is. And I know that people struggle with this. It is hard to get succinct. I've had the great pleasure as we are ramping up for JVology Live that I'm doing 4-minute interviews with our very important partners and giving them a chance to do a very quick, succinct, get to know you interview. And I can really, really spot the difference between someone who has it nailed in and people who don't. And as the interviewer, it's not my position to tell them otherwise, and nor is it the time to do that. But I'm recognizing just how incredibly, incredibly important it is to be able to talk about your business clear, clean, and fast without a lot of words. So if you're able to help people do that, then take advantage of what James is saying, buy it, join it, do what you need to do, because that will make or break both joint ventures and marketing, both.
Yeah, exactly. It's so important to get that. And you know what, team? Like I said, I'm going to run it for free because I've discovered that giving is actually better than receiving, and this stuff is fun. This stuff is fun, right? Everybody's going to have a chance, and haven't figured out how this is going to work either. But everyone's going to have a chance to go on a hot seat, and it's going to it's going to be challenging, right? And expect to be challenged. But if you never fail at something, you're not even trying, right?
Right.
So
I love
open yourself to the challenge, try it. And at the end of the day, it's going to be even better, right? And I'll give you an example of that. It was so silly. About a week ago, I was speaking to Virginia Muskies,
Love
and
her.
who was saying, and I told her about my product, and the product that I told her about is nothing like what it is now, because she was like, James, that's not going to work. This is what's going to work. And then I brought it to the mastermind with Jay, and Jay said, don't do what you were going to do. Do what Virginia said. And so you had to take everything down. But now it's a much stronger product at the end of the day. But it sucked, right?
Yeah, I know it does. It does. You're like, I've got my brilliant idea, and then you share it, and you're like, That's part of being a good entrepreneur, is being willing to let the ego go, take advice. Another brilliant reason why you've invested in, belonging to JVology is if you're not willing to take the advice of the brilliant people that are in it, it's not worth much.
No.
Here, I love what Michelle is saying, and Michelle is a brilliant copywriter and swipe copywriter. Love you for all the work that you do, Michelle, on our team for sure. So, and what she's saying is when you have somebody else that can take a look at it, you just can't see your own stuff, right? We know there's too much backstory that we already know. And if that, we don't realize we're not conveying that to somebody else. So, do you have any thoughts on that? I'm just not being able to do it by yourself. You really need someone else's eyes to look at it to see if the message is coming through.
Yeah, I think Michelle, what Michelle is saying is 100% right. The challenge is you have to be, and this is not easy by any stretch of imagination, you have to be able to be wrong, because you're going to be wrong, right? That's when we do this, I doubt anybody is going, it's an interesting thing, right? Because people will come to this workshop and I will say, tell me your message. And they will say something and they say, yeah, that really sucked. Well, of course it was really bad, because you come here to learn. You're not expected to do this properly the first time, right? You admit to, the challenge is you come to learn something. So you have to be open to these ideas. And that is super, super challenging for anybody, me, myself included, Krista, maybe you as well, right? Because your initial reaction is to be defensive. You're like, well, I don't know if that's gonna, but you have to take these things and say, that's a really good point. I will take this into account. But I'm excited about it. I think this is super cool. I think this is exactly what a lot of the JV group needs. And look, it can help me too, right? It can help me figure out my message of what I do and where the benefit is. And anybody who's listening, if you know somebody, like I said, it's free. So the first 30 people, just send them, right? But if you know somebody who needs their message ironed out or their differential advantage, send them my way. And they usually are identified by things like, what do you do? Oh, well, I'm the best, blah, 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 because I work with so-and-so and we have these systems and we have these processes. No. Just simple.
The other thing I see that I believe is a big mistake is, well, I work with everyone.
Yes.
I help anybody who wants to get better. Like,
yes.
Oh.
Yeah, it's interesting. When you market to everyone, you market to no one, right? There's a quote for you. I don't remember where I heard it, but it's true.
It is true. All right, Michelle is saying creative teams are key. Every entrepreneur should be wise to talk to James. You can't get awesome support soon enough in your business. I mean, really, honestly, marketing, that no matter how great the product is, you're not going to have anybody in the product if you haven't zoned in on a great marketing message to grab their attention, where they go, oh, you're talking to me. I want to work with you. That has to come first.
It's interesting, right? Like how many entrepreneurs do you know that, and we don't know so many, right? So it's a rhetorical question, but how many entrepreneurs do you know that put their blood, sweat, and tears into their product, that work so hard to make their product because they have so many specialties, they put everything in there, and then they go bankrupt because they can't sell it, right? Okay. You have a product and you have the passion and you have the ability. It's just a matter of workshopping it so you're actually a better version of you. That's all it is. We're not changing anybody. It's just being more concise, and being able to say it properly.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jay Facette says this over and over again that resonates right with what you're saying. Both getting that marketing message and building relationships for JVs, it has to happen early on while you're developing the product. Too many people go and they hide out, hunker down in the basement, create a product, and then pop out and be like, here, this is what I have. But they weren't interactive. They weren't building relationships. They weren't getting feedback. So you actually can, and Jay's the expert at teaching people how to do this, develop the product as you are engaging in real life. So that first product may be happening as you go, teaching people and getting feedback all along the way. So and that can save people tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, exactly right. But it takes an open mind to be able to do that, right? And to be able to live it as you know. So look, I'd love people to join me. So if it's something you're interested in, again, no cost, I'd love to help out. And I think it'd be a lot of fun, actually. And I think we could get a group together.
Yeah.
Plus, you talk about getting to know people better and creating joint ventures. I tell you what, there is no better way of creating a joint venture than getting to know somebody well. Relationships first, right? And then the joint venture. So
absolutely. Well, I want to make sure that
I know it's weird. Mama's to listen for her, but this is Ayla. So everybody wave hi. Say hi, Wei Wei.
Hi, Wei Wei.
She's so grumpy. She just woke up.
Sorry. This is the real life of. There was already a big blend of especially entrepreneurs working from home and incorporating family life. But now the whole world, at least over the last couple of months, have been at home. And so we are working with our families all around. And my daughter just left, but I mean, you see, she's always popping in and out of my home. So that's awesome. I'm glad you shared that. It's a humanizing factor.
Yeah.
And that's another big element of why people love what Jay Facette does at JVology is he put being human first, and then the business that you do comes later.
Yeah. And it's reflected in the joint ventures too, right? It's reflected in relationships first, and then business second. Because if you can't have a relationship, there's no point in doing business with the other person.
Absolutely. And then the part of that is like once, now we know each other and we like how each other works and we like each other as people. So I'm going to support you in this marketing. And then in a year or 2 years, or you're getting a big idea and you're going to want to pivot or offer something different. I'm going to continue to go, I want to know more from James because he's an awesome person. And those are the kind of relationships that we build here.
Yeah, it's super cool, right? So anybody who's on the fence, and I keep telling my own people as well, this is one of the things that I want them at least to try. Just try and see if you can form partnerships that are effective. And if you're open to it, it's an amazing process.
So leave us with like 1 to 3 tips, like marketing tips, like either go back and make sure you have this in place, or people are new. Yeah. Like what are some, just, they may seem so common knowledge to you, but what are those basic marketing foundation pieces we need to know?
All right. I think the first thing I'm going to say is you have to see it as leads times conversion. You have to, in my field, I see everybody saying, I need more leads. I need more leads. I need more leads, right? The cheaper, easier way, and the one that you can implement most days, like in the first day or two, is conversions, right? Your conversions is like, it's not complicated. Capture email. That doesn't cost very much at all, right? It costs maybe $5 a month for the right widget. Do a landing page up, right? You can do a landing page up. You can use lead pages. You can use Unbounce. You can use ClickFunnels, whatever you want. Again, it doesn't have to cost that much, but you have to think about these things in terms of conversions. The next thing I want to talk about is education. So look, team, obviously, I'd love you to join my webinar. That's one of the things. You can educate yourself. You can just do a Google search into how to improve your ads, and there's a wealth of information there. But if you don't educate yourself, you're repeating mistakes that people are desperately trying to say don't do, right? So all these mistakes that I've done, I'm saying don't do the same thing, right? The third thing, team, is I really encourage you. You have to try it, I think, anyways, and I think Michelle would agree with me as well. Some things you really have to try on your own, right? One of the challenges, and I know Michelle's company does a fantastic job. Not all companies do a good job. And if you have no idea how to market your product, if you have no idea how to market your system, you are in big trouble because you don't know what a good result is and what a bad result is. And then you end up like me in 2015, losing $50,000. And nobody wants to lose $50,000.
Absolutely. Well, that's really great foundation. When we're done here, I want you to throw in the chat how we can get to your webinar, or how you want people to contact you. I know you've got a great free offer there, or to sign up for the webinar. Throw that in there so everybody who's watching or watching the replay can take advantage of that, and we can get to start to work with you.
Yeah, that'll be fun. We'll have a chat offline about how this branding and marketing message thing is going to go. But I'm super excited, and I think that is the front door, and then from there we can figure out everything else. But let's get people in the seats, and it's going to be awesome.
Yes, and I just want to post on here, if for any, make sure JVology live, and I'm spelling that correctly. If you are watching this because you're a friend of James or a friend of mine, and you're not in JVology already, or for whatever silly reason you haven't confirmed or bought your ticket to JVology Live, do that now. We're incredibly excited because it's coming up June 11th is the kickoff, and then June 12th, 13th, 14th, the virtual live event that can't be missed if you are growing your business in any way, shape, or form and looking to build the sort of relationship, connections, and all these pieces that James and I have been talking about. Get over there and join us for JVology Live, and do it now because super excited. We have created our partner creation packages, which are boxes going in the mail, being sent out to the attendees, and they're going to start leaving tonight or tomorrow, headed to mailboxes. So we'll make sure you get that in plenty of time before the
there's a wine glass in there, if I'm not mistaken.
There's a JVology wine glass. We've got our awesome full color workbook, a game piece, special swag, and things that are just going to help everyone feel really connected as we're going on this virtual adventure of both learning, engaging, meeting joint venture partners, and how to do that effectively. So I know you attended JVology Live in February, which is how we met. Share your experience.
Well, it changed my life, and that's literally what it was, right? Because 3 months ago, I still had the old company. I had no idea what I was doing. I was kind of floating. Does that make sense? Like I was kind of just sitting there and not doing a lot. And this came along, and I met some amazing people. I've launched a podcast. This is all because of JVology. So absolutely, if you can, and I've approached a few of my close people, please trust me. Even if, I know some people, this isn't it. Some people are like, isn't it MLM? And I'm like, no, it isn't MLM. Is it email swapping? And I'm like, no, it's not email swapping. You have to go to understand this. So please, if you just try one session, see what you think. But I really hope it has been as beneficial as it has for me.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes, we are both an education platform. Jay Facette, in my opinion, is the leader in the industry on teaching people how to properly joint venture. And we're the community of movers and shakers who are doing them. So not only do you learn it, but now you are surrounded by people who also have that same knowledge and are looking to do the same thing. And that's where the magic happens. So yes, and this is the first time ever we've been virtual. So you're not having, as much as I love it, you're not paying for a plane ticket and a hotel and an Uber drive and all of those pieces. You're able to access everything right from your living room. So do it. Can't beat community.
Hope to see you there, folks.
Okay, well, thank you so much, James. We appreciate you so much and glad that you're such a strong member of our community. And any final words?
No, this was great. So join JVology Live. Come join me for the free message. And look, I'd love to see you there. Thank you, Krista.
All right. Thanks so much. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you real soon.